the phantom subway rider. Alicia's day had been a blur of deadlines, meetings, and the hum of office chatter. As she stepped out of the glass and steel confines of the office building, the cool night air enveloped her, a welcome contrast to the sterile atmosphere within. Her long chestnut hair cascaded down her shoulders, and tired eyes held a hint of determination. The city, a sprawling metropolis, stretched out before her, a sea of lights and shadows. The neon signs of late-night establishments blinked in hypnotic patterns, casting an otherworldly glow on the pavement. Alicia, a young woman with a sense of purpose etched into her every movement, navigated through the labyrinth of concrete and steel toward the subway station. Her routine, a carefully choreographed dance between work and home, led her down familiar streets. The city at night wore a different face, mysterious, alluring, and quiet. The distant hum of the city's heartbeat, a symphony of distant traffic and distant lives, served as a constant companion. The subway station, a subterranean gateway to her sanctuary, awaited her arrival. The entrance yawned open, welcoming her into the depths below. With a deft swipe of her card, Alicia descended into the world of dimly lit platforms and echoing footsteps. The rhythmic clatter of her heels against the tiled floor resonated like a heartbeat through the cavernous space. Alicia's silhouette, framed by the artificial glow of overhead lights, moved with purpose toward the last train of the night. The familiar scent of metal and dampness surrounded her, a sensory reminder that this nightly ritual was both mundane and sacred. The subway car stood still, its doors a portal to the nocturnal journey that awaited. Alicia stepped through just as the doors slid closed behind her, shutting out the outside world. The solitude of the empty carriage greeted her, a haven of flickering fluorescent light and faded upholstery. As the train began its journey into the subterranean passages, Alicia found solace in the rhythmic sway of the car. The city above, with its cacophony of voices and demands, faded into the background. Here, in the dimly lit confines of the subway, she felt a sense of detachment, a momentary escape from the responsibilities that awaited above ground. The gentle vibrations of the train beneath her served as a lullaby, and Alicia allowed her mind to drift. She watched the shifting landscapes through the smeared windows, glimpses of forgotten graffiti, flickering tunnel lights, and the occasional rat scurrying along the tracks. The city's underbelly revealed itself, a raw and unfiltered version hidden beneath the polished facade. Alicia's thoughts danced between the events of the day and the promise of a quiet night at home. She imagined the comfort of her cozy apartment, the soft glow of lamplight, and the embrace of her favorite armchair. Yet, amidst the anticipation of familiarity, a subtle unease lingered, a feeling she couldn't quite shake. The clock on her wrist, a faithful companion in the corporate jungle, ticked away the minutes. The late hour intensified the shadows that clung to the subway's walls, creating a chiaroscuro of light and darkness. Alicia's reflection stared back at her from the window, the weariness etched into the lines of her face. As the subway hurtled through the tunnels, the rhythmic motion of the train became a meditation. Alicia closed her eyes, surrendering to the soothing cadence. The city above ceased to exist, and for a fleeting moment, she found solace in the anonymity of the underground. However, as the train reached a desolate station, a subtle shift in the atmosphere caught Alicia's attention. The hum of the city's heartbeat grew distant, replaced by an eerie silence. The flickering lights cast unsettling shadows, and the air thickened with a palpable tension. Alicia opened her eyes, her senses on high alert. The once empty carriage now seemed to hold a presence she couldn't quite define. She turned her head slowly, scanning the dimly lit space. That's when she noticed it. A mysterious figure, seated at the far end of the compartment. The silhouette was shrouded in shadows, a form barely discernible from the darkness that clung to the subway's interior. Alicia's initial curiosity morphed into a subtle unease. She squinted, attempting to get a clearer view, but the figure remained elusive, a phantom on the periphery of her vision. In the silent dance of the subway car, Alicia felt the weight of an unseen gaze. The hairs on the back of her neck prickled, and a chill crept down her spine. She dismissed it as a trick of the shadows, a byproduct of fatigue and the late hour. Yet, as her eyes met the vacant gaze of the phantom rider, a sense of disquiet settled in her chest. The figure, though intangible, seemed to hold a presence that transcended the physical realm. Each time Alicia attempted to focus directly on the mysterious passenger, they vanished into the obscurity of the shadows. It was as if the subway itself played host to a spectral passenger, one who defied the laws of perception. As the subway continued its journey, Alicia couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The phantom rider, though intangible, lingered in the corners of her vision. The flickering lights painted a chilling tableau, casting intermittent glimpses of the enigmatic figure. It was as if the shadows had birthed a companion, a silent observer in the quietude of the night. Alicia's rational mind grappled with the inexplicable. She told herself it was a mere trick of the mind, a product of fatigue and the eerie ambience of the subway. Yet, a gnawing sense of unease persisted, an instinct that whispered of an otherworldly presence sharing this subterranean journey. The train reached another station, its doors opening and closing with a mechanical precision. Alicia, torn between curiosity and trepidation, found herself unable to look away. The phantom rider, now a constant specter in her nightly commute, seemed to defy the laws of reality. As the subway hurtled through the tunnels, Alicia became acutely aware of the proximity of the phantom rider. The figure, once distant, now occupied the periphery of her vision. The flickering lights cast an eerie glow on their silhouette, revealing a form that seemed to materialize and dissolve with each passing moment. Alicia's heartbeat quickened, the rhythmic clatter of the train, now a relentless drumming in her ears. She tried to focus on the passing scenery, to distract herself from the enigmatic passenger, but an unseen force drew her attention back. The phantom rider, though intangible, seemed to draw closer with each vanishing act. Paralyzed by a mixture of fear and fascination, Alicia questioned her sanity. The subway, once a mundane means of transportation, had become a realm of uncertainty. The city outside, with its towering skyscrapers and bustling streets, felt distant and irrelevant compared to the unfolding mystery within the confines of the train. As the train rumbled through the subterranean labyrinth, Alicia's mind raced with unanswered questions. Who was the phantom rider, and why did they seem tethered to her nightly commute? Was this a manifestation of her own fears? Or did the shadows truly hold secrets beyond the comprehension of the living? The subway reached another station, and Alicia, caught in the web of uncertainty, made a decision. With a deep breath, she rose from her seat, determined to confront the elusive passenger. The rhythmic motion of the train seemed to sync with the pounding of her heart as she moved toward the far end of the empty carriage. Each step echoed like a drumbeat in the silent space. Alicia's eyes never wavered from the spot where the phantom rider had last appeared. The flickering lights cast dancing shadows, creating an eerie atmosphere as she approached the vacant seat. With hesitant fingers, Alicia reached out, expecting nothing more than the cold surface of the subway seat. To her surprise, there was a subtle resistance, a sensation that sent a shiver down her spine. The phantom rider's elusive nature persisted, leaving her hand suspended in a void where a tangible presence should have been. The subway, oblivious to the silent encounter within its confines, continued its journey through the subterranean passages. Alicia withdrew her hand, a mixture of confusion and trepidation clouding her thoughts. The enigmatic passenger, though absent in the physical sense, lingered in the air like an unresolved melody. Returning to her seat, Alicia couldn't escape the feeling of being observed. The phantom rider, though elusive, seemed to have left an indelible mark on her perception of the night. The city above, now a distant mirage through the smeared windows, held secrets that transcended the mundane reality of daily life. As the subway plunged into the darkness of an abandoned tunnel, Alicia's unease intensified. The shadows seemed to come alive, dancing to an otherworldly rhythm. She felt the weight of an unseen gaze once more. And as she turned her head, the phantom rider materialized inches away. Paralyzed with fear, Alicia could only watch as the shadows enveloped her. The flickering lights cast a surreal tableau, revealing the distorted features of the phantom rider. The once elusive figure now stood before her, a spectral presence in the dimly lit carriage. The air thickened with an otherworldly energy as the phantom rider extended a shadowy hand. Alicia, caught between terror and fascination, felt an unspoken connection. The figure began to speak, a voice echoing from the depths of the subway's history. The phantom rider's words unfolded like a haunting melody, revealing a tale of tragedy and loss that spanned decades. Alicia listened, captivated by the spectral narrative that transcended the boundaries of the living and the dead. The subway, once a mundane conduit for daily commuters, became a stage for a supernatural drama that unfolded in the shadows. As the story reached its climax, Alicia's fear transformed into empathy. The phantom rider, a soul tethered to the abandoned tunnels and forgotten stations, sought solace in the company of the living. The city's history, intertwined with their tragic tale, became a tapestry of echoes that resonated through time. The subway emerged from the abandoned tunnel, the flickering lights revealing a cityscape bathed in the first light of dawn. Alicia, now connected to the phantom rider by a shared understanding, found herself at the final destination of her nocturnal journey. The spectral figure, though still present, seemed to dissipate into the shadows. Alicia stepped out of the subway. The world above ground a stark contrast to the subterranean drama. The city, awakening to the promise of a new day, held no inkling of the spectral encounters that transpired beneath its surface. The clock on her wrist, its ticking now a subdued reminder, signaled the end of the routine commute. The enigmatic encounter with the phantom rider lingered in Alicia's thoughts as she ascended from the depths below. The city, with its towering buildings and bustling streets, held secrets that transcended the boundaries of the visible and the unseen. The subway, once a mundane means of transportation, had become a conduit for the supernatural, a realm where the living and the dead coexisted in the quietude of the night. And so, as Alicia emerged into the waking world, the echoes of the phantom rider's tale reverberated in the corners of her consciousness. The routine commute, once a mundane ritual, now held the weight of a shared journey between the tangible and the ethereal. The city, with its secrets and shadows, awaited the next chapter of mysteries that unfolded under the cover of darkness.